Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Our first story is from subreddit Am I an A-hole? OP is excellent_power 6070 and is asking, am I the a-hole for acting smug and sitting back to let chaos happen when my sister-in-law invited my sister for dinner after I asked her not to? Starting with background, I, 28 female, have a sister, 32 female. We've never had a healthy relationship, and it's not possible for us to have one. Our parents pitted us against each other from the time I was born. They would tell my sister how much quieter I was than her, how I was a better baby than her, and it started competition very early between us. Our grades were compared, our extracurricular activities compared, our looks, our skills, our friends. Everything was compared to the other. She was better academically. I was better creatively. She had friends they approved of more, but I had more friends, who weren't really friends. She behaved more like they wanted her to, but I was always beautiful, even when I dressed inappropriately, which for them was clothes they hated. She hated me. I hated her. We fought like crazy. We always wanted to outdo the other, to be better, to win their approval over the other. Nothing wasn't turned into a competition, and a lot of resentment and hatred grew. My sister was always sore, for example, if people said we looked kinda alike, while I used to hate being compared to her in personality. The bad blood was cemented extra hard when, just before she left for college, my sister told me she wishes she was an only child, wishes I had died, and that she thought I was the worst sister in the world, and prayed I died before her, so she could go back to being an only child. It wasn't until I met 3 amazing people, one who is now my husband, for me to see how wrong it all was. They pointed out how messed up everything was, which led me to therapy, and I still go. I went no contact with my parents. I apologized to my sister for my part in everything, and got told to rot in return, and then I went extremely low contact with her. I no longer hate her. I feel kinda bad that she still hasn't worked through it. My husband's sister has always had this obsession with us needing to come together and be closer. My husband and I both shut her down several times. She's talked about inviting her to dinner sometimes, and I always told her it was a terrible idea. She claimed nothing could be that bad, which led to her inviting my sister over on Saturday for dinner. My husband wanted to tear into his sister. I told him to leave it, and we just let sister-in-law see. It was absolute chaos, and I did nothing. I said nothing. I let it play out as my sister was spewing hatred at me, and at my husband, and at my husband's parents, who I'm very close to, and also trying to one-up every element of my life. By the 3-hour mark, sister-in-law had enough and told my sister to leave. My lack of doing anything annoyed sister-in-law, and she told me I was a jerk for looking so smug and doing nothing while my sister caused so much chaos. I told her that was her own fault for not listening to me. Sister-in-law said I was such an a-hole for that. Am I the a-hole? OP has warned her to not get involved. Sister-in-law could have listened, but she refused, and she's now bearing the consequences of that. Nothing OP could do when she went against everything OP told her. Maybe she won't be so quick to jump to conclusions in the future. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. She went against your wishes and it blew up in her face in spectacular fashion. Rather than admit she screwed up, your sister-in-law wants to blame you for not warning her this would happen. Not the a-hole. You tried to warn her. To be quite honest, if you tried to step in, it probably would have made things worse. Your sister-in-law decided to F around and she found out. Not the a-hole. She forced an interaction upon you she had no business forcing. That's an a-hole move, and you could tell her that. You could also tell her you put up with your sister for years and needed therapy to stop being angry. Still do. So if she thinks you not undoing some of that progress and damaging your mental health is an a-hole move, that's her choice, and says a lot about her. Our next story is from subreddit Am I an A-hole? OP is throwaway 564-19017 and is asking, am I the a-hole for demanding that my wife pays back my $200 that my stepdaughter stole from me? I, 39 male, got married to my wife Sarah 3 years ago. My stepdaughter Audrey, 14 female, used to have a good relationship with me. But sometimes when she gets upset, she says some pretty harsh stuff. And lately she's been acting out and would literally yell at me for just asking, how are things? My wife says I should take a step back and let her have some space, which is what I've been doing for the past 2 months. Yesterday, while my wife was at the store and I was watching the news, I saw my stepdaughter walking out of my bedroom. I thought nothing of it. She's usually there for a pack of tissues, her mother's laptop, and other stuff. We finished dinner, and before I went to bed, I went to check my closet and found that there was money missing, $200 to be exact. I was keeping the cash to give it to my brother the next day to help pay for his wife's hospital bill. I was confused. I asked my wife if she went shopping with my money, and she said no. I gotta say, I had suspicions, but didn't want to jump to conclusions. The next day, my stepdaughter came home with shopping bags and looked delighted. I asked her where she was. She said at the mall. I asked where she got the money. She said that her mom gave it to her. I asked her how much, but she got mad and told me off, said I was being a jerk and that I ruined her mood. I was pissed, so damn pissed, because that was the money I was supposed to help my brother out with. I waited till my wife got home, and I told her what happened. My wife started begging me not to confront her daughter about the money she took, because that would make her hate us both, and made excuses saying she's just a kid. She didn't know. She told me to hide the money elsewhere next time. I lost it and told her to pay the money Audrey took, because that was not okay, and since she chose to let her get away with it, and that I shouldn't try to parent her. Trust me, way too many people told me not to try and be a dad to her. Then she should be paying me my $200 back. She tried to argue about how money is always more important to me, and that I don't care about her, or even try to understand why Audrey is doing this. The whole evening was quiet. I sat there in silence, unable to even tell my stepdaughter what she did was wrong, because that's her mother's wish. OP's stepdaughter needs parenting, not whatever dancing around the problem OP's wife seems to prefer. OP is absolutely entitled to be repaid for what she stole. She's old enough to know that stealing is wrong. Making excuses and telling OP to hide money is ridiculous and lazy parenting from OP's wife. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Something is seriously wrong here. The fact that you have money missing and your wife does not want you to bring it up is concerning. Not the a-hole. 14 is old enough to know better than to steal money. Your wife needs to replace the money, and Audrey needs punishing for her thievery. Not the a-hole. It's kind of sad that she doesn't want you to parent stepdaughter, because somebody needs to start parenting her. Don't mention she's stealing because she gets mad. She cares more about being her friend than being her mother. Her daughter's behavior will get so much worse if she gets away with this. Call out stepdaughter. You don't have to do it as a parent. Do it as her crime victim. Tell stepdaughter that she needs to give you back the money, or you file a police report. Our next story is from subreddit Am I an A-hole? OP is Rihanna Ida and is asking, am I the a-hole for not paying for my sister's college? I am the 7th generation that my family took on. They had or adopted 9, 50 female, 46 male, 42 male, 36 female, 31 female, 30 female, 29 male, 18 female, and 10 female. We have a tradition that is the way we pay for the next youngest college. I would be paying for my 18-year-old sister's, Kelly's, college, but she started school late and got left back a couple times, so she won't be in college until she's 22. She's adamant on going to college, and we all support her. I got a good-paying job out of college and have already saved enough for her. It's not like Kelly doesn't have a job. She's a freelance artist, and a good one at that. She makes enough money a year to pay for her needs, and all the designer stuff she wants. I understand she pays for her supplies and stuff, but what she said was unacceptable. This came to a head last night when we were all eating dinner. My parents addressed that after the youngest graduated college, to be fair for everyone, she would give them the money if they were still alive, because there's no other child to pay for. If they weren't alive, then they'd like it if she gives the money to various charities. She agreed because she's such a kind soul. Kelly said that she wouldn't be paying for the youngest's college because she wasn't smart enough. She can't say that a 10-year-old is not smart enough because they're still learning. Then she said because she wasn't really her sister, she didn't need to do anything for her. When our parents asked her why she felt like she shouldn't, she said that she wasn't obligated to help, and that broke the camel's back. I don't know if I used that right. I agree that she isn't obligated to pay for the youngest's college, so in turn, I said I wasn't obligated to pay for hers, and instead would be giving it for the youngest. She blew up and got mad at me, saying that I can't just do that to her, and it isn't fair. I just sat back and listened to her tirade. She went on and on about how bad of a brother I am. By the end of it, she stormed off to her room. I might be bad, But the rest of us ate dinner, seeing as she brought this on herself. My parents and everyone else say I'm in the right, because in her logic, I'm not obligated to pay anything for her. The youngest was pretty quiet for the rest of the dinner, but we told her we loved her no matter what. I've been getting calls from Kelly's friends, telling me I'm the a-hole because I'm ruining her life by not paying. I think I'm not the a-hole because she got what was coming to her. Reddit. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for my sister's college when she won't do the same with the youngest child? Well, first of all, it's a terrible tradition in my opinion. And second of all, sister is being very entitled. She only uses that logic when it applies to someone else, and then she expects people to go out of their way and pay for her. Sister has shown her true colors, so OP should believe her, and the youngest needs to be looked after. Not the a-hole. It is bad enough to say that the youngest is not smart enough for college. Despicable to have said it in front of her. She should be ashamed of herself. I'd not give a penny to that hypocrite. Best wishes. Not the a-hole. She sounds so entitled. You can save your money and pay for the youngest yourself when their time comes. Honestly, not the a-hole. It's a tradition that you guys established and clearly care about. It doesn't seem to come with stipulations to who gets it and how they use it, like what degree. I think it's fair to say if Kelly doesn't want to participate in the giving part of the tradition, it's fair that she doesn't participate in the receiving part either. I think you may even offer instead that you pay for the youngest, and then since there's no one age-wise after the youngest could pay for Kelly's college instead. Running it by the youngest first, of course, because this affects the tradition for her. Of course, this would mean waiting longer if she doesn't want to pay. Then that could be the sacrifice on her part. Not money, but time. Our next story is from subreddit Am I an A-hole? OP is financial-zebra-45 and is asking, am I the a-hole for firing my nanny/housekeeper after she S-shamed my daughter? Backstory. 2 years ago, I lost my wife in a car accident. It was devastating. She left behind our 3 daughters, 14, 11, and 5. Once I had to go back to work, I needed somebody to help keep the house in order and help with the youngest as she wasn't in school yet. About a year ago, we hired a woman who I'll call Kate. Kate is an older lady and quite religious, which I don't mind as she was a good worker. I've made it a priority to teach my kids to love themselves and not care what others think or be ashamed of their bodies in any way. 4 months ago, my oldest, who I'll call Bree, started wearing some revealing tops. Nothing too crazy, obviously, as she's 14. I've noticed Kate making passive-aggressive comments about it a few times, but we just kind of shrugged it off. 3 days ago, Bree called me at work crying. Apparently, she was going out with her friends when Kate stopped her and told her not to leave unless she changed. Bree asked why, and she said, "It makes you look easy, like an S. Go back upstairs." When I got home, I confronted Kate, and she didn't even deny it, but claimed she was trying to protect her. This was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I told her she was fired. When she asked why, I told her there have been too many instances of disrespect for my parenting, and I wouldn't deal with it anymore. Next day, I told my parents about it, and they went off on me, saying I was an a-hole because I just left an old woman without a job. I said that's not my problem and hung up. I do feel bad, but her old views aren't an excuse for S-shaming. Well, OP's parents should care more about their stepdaughter than a person who is a stranger to them. What, they really think it's okay to name-call their granddaughter? OP did the right thing firing her. Nanny should have never spoken to OP's daughter like that. Now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. If she wanted to keep her job, she should have respected your daughter and your parenting. Not the a-hole. Your parents are showing more concern for Kate than they are for their granddaughter. Kate was inexcusably rude to your daughter, a child in her care, and that's not okay. Not the a-hole. Calling a teenage girl an S is never okay. You did the right thing and showed your daughter that you don't tolerate people treating her poorly. The nanny has to deal with the consequences of her actions. Our next story is from subreddit Am I an A-hole? OP is throw_help-a-guy and is asking, am I the a-hole for telling my sister her insecurities aren't my wife's problem? I, male 36, and my sister, female 29, have been civil despite us being half-siblings. I'm Asian and she's white. My wife is Somali African American. My sister would call her a spoiled rotten woman anytime she'd come over. However, my sister stopped after a private conversation with my wife. My sister thought this was because my wife talked about how growing up she would get gold on her birthday from family members. My wife has a jewelry collection that has grown over the years. My wife is by no means a rotten woman. She's extremely charming, and besides my sister, I've never heard of anyone that dislikes her. So, about a week ago was my niece's second birthday, and my sister invited my family. My wife and my sister were talking in separate groups. At one point, someone from my sister's group complimented my wife's dress, and my sister somehow took that as them complimenting her weight and said, "Well, we can't all maintain a size small. Some of us would rather take care of our children." Everyone was not only stunned, but very confused. My wife changed the subject, and they continued to talk until it was time for cake and gifts. It was going very well. The kids were eating, and my niece was loving her presents. But then it was our turn to give our gifts. She and I picked out a bracelet from the jewelry collection to give her, and a card that said, "Dahab from one gold girl to another." My wife also picked out a watch and a pair of earrings for my sister. How my wife could be so generous to a woman that, in my opinion, doesn't deserve it, I will never know. When my sister and her husband opened the gifts, the only one not smiling was my sister. My sister said, "Do I look like I need your handouts?" Awkward silence. My wife tried to explain that she wanted to get my niece something nice, but it seemed like everything my wife said just made her more angry. My sister began getting louder with my wife, saying, "What do you think? I'm too poor to give my daughter a nice gift?" I don't even raise my voice at my wife, and I'd be damned if anyone else did, so I told her to take our daughter and wait in the car. My sister then turned her anger on me. I tried to explain there were no taking sides, but my sister then said, "That bee is trying to make me look bad in front of my husband and friends in my home." That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I told my sister that her insecurities were not my wife's problem, and that the one-sided rivalry she had with her needed to stop. I then told her husband we would not come back until my sister fixed whatever hatred she had for my wife. Like I said, it's been a week, and all we've gotten is empty excuses. While I will admit I could have talked to my sister in private, she chose to invite my wife and I, just like she chose to yell at my wife in front of everyone. My mom thinks I was too harsh with my sister, while my dad applauds me for standing up for my wife. I would really like other people's view on this. Am I the a-hole? Good for OP for standing up for his wife. OP's sister is jealous, and she was the one who made her issues public, and it's definitely not for OP to fix that. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Your sister sure is, though, and is jealous of your wife. Good on you for standing up for your wife. Not the a-hole. Well, your sister is a jerk, and I also think this is a major cultural misunderstanding from her. Giving gold or jewelry to girls and women in some cultures is tradition to build their safety net. It's not really a flex or bragging, though I have had friends who reacted like that when I showed a gift I was given because that kind of jewelry seems not to be as common in some Western cultures, especially for younger women. It originated as a security for women when things go wrong. My aunt's maid in India saved for years to give her daughter 2 gold bangles, for example, so she would have something in case her marriage went badly. It is also a sign of love to gift your own jewelry to another woman in the family. When my mom got married, her aunts all gave her a piece of their jewelry collection. Her future sister-in-law did too to welcome her. I've set aside gold items for my niece. Just a baby now, so I'll wait until she's older. But she already has gold items from my parents. Your wife was showing her love and sharing her culture, and your sister can't seem to get past her own hatred and bitterness. Not the a-hole. Your sister obviously is very jealous of your wife, but that's not your wife's problem. Go no contact until your sister learns to grow up and become an adult.